Their leader, a man known as Sir Jimmy, eventually agrees to let Spike participate, but only under one condition. Spike must fight another child who is older and physically bigger than him. During the confrontation, Spike is brutally tortured and constantly insulted by the other children. Because of his small and weak-looking body, they mock him relentlessly, believing he has no chance of winning. However, in a sudden and shocking turn of events, Spike manages to stab the older boy in the thigh using a knife. Unfortunately, the blade strikes too deep and ends up piercing the boy's heart. Blood begins to pour out uncontrollably, leaving the victim helpless. In the end, the boy dies from his wounds, with the boy dead. His position in the group is immediately taken by Spike. Sir Jimmy then strips Spike of his old identity and gives him a new name, renaming him Jimmy, so that he matches everyone else in the group. He is also given a wig, completing his transformation. From that moment on, Spike is officially accepted as part of their twisted family. The story then shifts to a man who is out hunting deer in the forest. Suddenly, he finds himself being chased by zombies. What makes this scene particularly interesting is that we are briefly shown the perspective of the zombies, allowing us to see how they actually view humans. Eventually, the man is caught and brutally killed by an alpha zombie. Next, we are introduced to Dr. Ian Kelson, who is currently examining the body of the female zombie who gave birth in the first film. While he's working the sounds, he makes attract the attention of the alpha zombie that had just finished killing the hunter from a distance. The alpha zombie observes Dr. Kelson closely, clearly intending to attack him. You might remember that alpha zombie hesitating earlier, and the same thing happens again here. Instead of immediately killing Dr. Kelson, the alpha zombie freezes and hesitates. Taking advantage of this moment, Dr. Kelson manages to paralyze the zombie and begins treating the wounds on its body. He even gives the zombie a name, calling him Samson. After that, Dr. Kelson resumes his usual routine, extracting bones from both zombie and human corpses that he comes across. While hiding, Dr. Kelson turns on music using a blacklight device he owns. We are also shown old photographs from his past. The following day, Samson appears once again. This time, however, Samson does not seem aggressive at all. Dr. Kelson lowers his tranquilizer dart and calmly invites Samson to come closer. Even so, Dr. Kelson still ends up sedating Samson and physically holding him. He notices that Samson becomes extremely calm after being exposed to the medication. We then learned that the drug Dr. Kelson is using is amphetamine. Since the virus that infected humanity is the rage virus, which amplifies anger and aggression, Dr. Kelson is attempting to counter it with substances that affect the brain differently. Samson eventually falls unconscious beside him. When Dr. Kelson wakes up later, he is overjoyed. Samson did not kill him. His head is still intact and he's very much alive. Overcome with relief and excitement, Dr. Kelson begins dancing. He genuinely believes he has formed a bond with Samson and starts treating him like a friend. Noticing that Samson is slowly beginning to experience emotion similar to those of a human. The story then moves to three people who are out hunting and searching for mushrooms in the forest. One of them spots zombies nearby. An older man named Jono, acting foolishly, decides to attack a zombie. Instead of staying quiet, his actions attract even more zombies to the area. As chaos erupts, Pi, Jem and Tom are forced to abandon Jono and flee in order to survive. While they manage to escape, Jono was left behind and eventually turns into a zombie. Pi, Jem, and Tom returned home only to discover that Sir Jimmy is already there along with his followers. Sir Jimmy and his group are seen casually eating food that belongs to the homeowners. A woman named Jimmy Ing is present and begins acting out a strange performance. It is revealed that Sir Jimmy has a deep fondness for Teletubbies, something he loved as a child, and Jimmy Ing plays into that obsession. Pija is clearly irritated by their sudden arrival and the way they help themselves to food without permission. He firmly tells them that they are not welcome. This angers Sir Jimmy, who labels them as wondrous and outsiders fueled by rage. Sir Jimmy declares that everyone in the house should be killed. Sir Jimmy and his followers then capture everyone inside the house. They drag them to an animal pen where livestock is usually kept, claiming that what they're about to do is an act of charity. Jimmy Ing is not allowed to join them and is instead sent away to wander through the forest. While walking aimlessly, she accidentally stumbles upon Dr. Kelson and Samson, who are singing and dancing together. She watches in disbelief as Dr. Kelson invites Samson to dance, unable to comprehend what she's witnessing back at the pen. Sir Jimmy delivers a disturbing speech in front of his followers and the captured family. He openly declares his belief in Satan and claims that he's the son of Old Nick, another name for the devil. According to him, Old Nick loves acts of charity because of this twisted belief. He orders his followers to skin the captured family alive as an offering to present to Old Nick. The scene that follows is deeply horrifying and disturbing. Spike watches all of this unfold and can no longer tolerate what he's seeing. He's visibly shaken. Jimmy Ing, who has just returned, quickly steps in to calm him down and pulls him away to keep him from reacting that night. Dr. Kelson and S. Samson sit together peacefully gazing at the stars. Dr. Kelson explains that the effects of the drugs will only last for 2 more weeks if Samson shows no further progress. By then, Dr. Kelson plans to inject him with a lethal dose, effectively sending him to heaven. However, something incredible happens. Samson continues staring at the moon, and just as Dr. Kelson is about to inject him, Samson softly speaks a single word. Moon. Samson repeats the word, and little by little his human consciousness begins to return. This marks a major breakthrough. The story then returns to Sir Jimmy and his followers. They are in the middle of torturing Tom. Sir Jimmy gives Tom a cruel choice. Tom is allowed to choose someone to fight, and if he wins, he will be allowed to take that person's place. Tom chooses Jimmy Ing, the woman who had earlier dressed like a Teletubby, because she appears to be the weakest. Surprisingly, Jimmy Ing is happy about being chosen. Sir Jimmy then begins communicating with Old Nick once again and officially inaugurates the fight, setting the stage for what is about to happen next. However, Jimmy Ing, who initially appeared weak, turns out to be far stronger than anyone expected. She completely overwhelms Tom and manages to render him helpless in the name of Old Nick. Sir Jimmy declares that he wants to present Tom as a sacrifice, referring to him as a little brother offering. P.A. Jim, who has been watching everything from above, witnesses this horrifying scene and suddenly does something completely unexpected. PGE throws a large hook toward Jimmy Ing, killing her instantly. Sir Jimmy immediately realizes what has happened and orders his subordinates to chase Pa Jim down. Amid the chaos, Tom slowly manages to grab a gas cylinder. He throws it at one of Sir Jimmy's subordinates, causing an explosion that sets the entire place on fire outside. Jemima and Spike are relaxing and eating when the sudden chaos erupts. Sir Jimmy orders Spike to go after Pa Jim. However, instead of obeying, Spike decides he wants to escape. Together with Pa Jim, unexpectedly, Pa Jim betrays him. He kicks Spike away and runs off alone. Leaving Spike behind, the cage and surrounding area are completely consumed by flames. Spike returns empty-handed. Sir Jimmy becomes furious with him to save himself. Spike lies and claims that he accidentally killed P.Y. Jim during the chase earlier. Sir Jimmy says he will consult Old Nick to decide what punishment Spike deserves for failing his task. Before that can happen, Jemima interrupts and claims that she has seen Old Nick with her own eyes. Sir Jimmy does not believe her at first, but Jemima insists that she can prove it and show them all. The next day arrives and we see Samson waking up from sleep. He begins trying to eat berries in the area. Meanwhile, Dr. Kelson is rereading his medical books, desperately searching for answers on how to eliminate the anger and hallucinations affecting the zombies. When Dr. Kelson looks for Samson, he realizes that Samson is gone. At the same time, Sir Jimmy and his followers also arrive at the location. Sir Jimmy is still unsure whether Dr. Kelson is truly Old Nick, but he admits that this person does seem like he could be the real Old Nick. Sir Jimmy decides that he will approach him alone first to introduce himself while ordering his followers to wait behind the story, then cuts back to Samson, who appears to be slowly regaining memories from his past as a human. He recalls riding a train long ago. Sir Jimmy eventually comes face to face with Dr. Kelson. He notices the neatly arranged bones scattered throughout the area. Sir Jimmy directly asks Dr. Kelson whether he's Old Nick, also known as Satan. Dr. Kelson calmly responds that he is not Old Nick and that he does not know anyone by that name. He clearly states that he is not Satan and introduces himself as Dr. Kelson. He explains that this place is his own creation and that he believes the zombies are the result of a virus. Sir Jimmy refuses to accept this explanation because he is a devoted Satanist. He firmly believes that humans were turned into zombies by Satan himself. Sir Jimmy introduces himself and the two continue talking. The story then returns to Spike, who tells Jemima that the man they saw might not be Old Nick at all, but just an ordinary human. Jemima, however, remains convinced that the man is Old Nick, the one they have been searching for. Still, she admits that even Sir Jimmy himself seems confused and uncertain, especially since this is the first time he has ever seen such a man. Back with Sir Jimmy. He began sharing his past. He explains that he once lived near a church and that his father was a priest. His father strongly believed that the zombie outbreak was caused by Satan. Because of this belief, Sir Jimmy grew up convinced that he was the devil's child chosen by his father to continue Satan's mission of wiping out humanity. Dr. Kelson then shares his own background, revealing that he used to be a military doctor and now lives alone in this place. However, a serious problem arises. Sir Jimmy explains that his followers are not far away and that they desperately want to meet Old Nick. Since Dr. Kelson is not Old Nick, Sir Jimmy says they would normally kill him. Instead, Dr. Kelson agrees to welcome Sir Jimmy and his followers the next evening. When night comes, Sir Jimmy tells his followers that they will meet Old Nick that evening and strictly orders them not to speak when they do. Meanwhile, Dr. Kelson stays with Samson and admits that this is the first time he has ever felt fear about being visited by someone like Sir Jimmy. Because of this, he prepares a new medicine for Samson, hoping it will erase the anger and hallucinations he experiences. This becomes Dr. Kelson's final attempt to cure Samson. According to the medical books he has studied, the zombies suffer from hallucinations that trigger extreme rage. The next morning, Spike secretly tries to sneak away toward Dr. Kelson's place. Unfortunately, he is spotted by one of Sir Jimmy's followers. Spike attempts to escape but ends up being attacked by a zombie. Spike manages to kill the zombie, but immediately afterward, he's confronted by Jimmy Snake, who accuses him of trying to run away. Jimmy Snake also holds a grudge against Spike for killing his friend earlier. Just in time, Jemima arrives and helps Spike. She reassures him that the outside world is far more dangerous than staying with the group. After bringing Spike back, Jemima explains that Jimmy Snake is actually terrified of meeting Old Nick and believes that killing himself might be the only escape. So Jimmy accepts this explanation. At the same time, Dr. Kelson continues searching for Samson to see whether the medicine is working or not. Samson is shown washing his body in the river afterward. He follows his instincts, which lead him to an abandoned train. Inside the train, he sits on a chair and suddenly his memories as a human fully return. He remembers riding this very train as a child while reading a book about the moon. However, he did not have a ticket back then, and this memory jolts him awake suddenly. Zombies attack Samson. Despite having regained human consciousness, he's now in grave danger. Meanwhile, Dr. Kelson prepares everything to welcome Sir Jimmy and his followers. He sets up various items including rocks, drugs, and lighting, preparing himself for what is about to come. Night falls. And Sir Jimmy arrives at Old Nick's place, along with his followers. Every single one of them is completely convinced that Old Nick is real and that they're finally standing in his presence. Dr. Kelson plays along perfectly using loudspeakers and dramatic visual effects. He stages an elaborate welcome, fully convincing them that he is the devil himself. Accompanied by loud rock music from Iron Maiden, Dr. Kelson begins his performance. He sprays drugs into the air, causing Sir Jimmy and his followers to become intoxicated and euphoric. On the other side, Samson manages to survive his ordeal. While Sir Jimmy and his cult followers thoroughly enjoy the spectacle, they dance wildly, completely lost in the moment. As Dr. Kelson goes all out with his performance, even playing dangerously with fire. After the show ends, Dr. Kelson calls them forward and commands everyone to bow. All of them obey except Sir Jimmy. Dr. Kelson then orders them to continue carrying out their mission. Sir Jimmy explains that their duty is to keep torturing humans in order to please Old Nick. Dr. Kelson adds that they must also recruit more followers and spread satanic teachings everywhere. As Dr. Kelson prepares to leave, he suddenly notices someone familiar among the group. He realizes that one of them is Spike. After confirming it is indeed Spike, Dr. Kelson asks for one final thing. He reminds them that Jesus, the Son of God, sacrificed himself for humanity by being crucified. Therefore, this time he wants to sacrifice as well, and he declares that Sir Jimmy should be crucified as his son. Jemima immediately attacks Dr. Kelson. But Sir Jimmy suddenly reveals the truth. He admits in front of everyone that this man is not Old Nick at all, but merely an ordinary human. To prove it, Sir Jimmy physically attacks Dr. Kelson, leaving his followers confused and shaken in the chaos. Jemima kills two of her own friends, and Spike manages to stab Sir Jimmy, knocking him unconscious. Jemima then asks Dr. Kelson directly, "Are you sure Old Nick doesn't exist?" Dr. Kelson calmly replies, "No, there is no such thing in this world." Jemima is clearly disappointed, but she still praises Dr. Kelson for the incredible performance he put on earlier. Spike, on the other hand, feels deeply saddened seeing Dr. Kelson in this condition. As they prepare to leave, she reveals her real name to Spike, telling him that her name is Kelly. Together they leave the place. Sir Jimmy meanwhile begins hallucinating, believing that he's meeting his father, whom he thinks is the devil himself. In reality, however, the figure he sees is not the devil at all. It is Samson, who has now fully regained his human consciousness. Samson wants to thank Dr. Kelson, but Dr. Kelson is already gone. Samson then carries Dr. Kelson away, leaving Sir Jimmy hanging behind. The story then shifts to a beautiful house near a lake. A family lives there peacefully. It is revealed that the man living there is Jim, a character from 28 Days Later released against all odds. He's still alive. He now lives with his son, and judging by the child's skin color, it is implied that he married Selena. Jim has raised his child well, and the child appears to be very intelligent. Suddenly they hear noises outside. When they look, they see Spike and Kelly being chased by a group of zombies. Without hesitation, they decide to help them.